Good morning, students. I am Dr. P.S. Kaushik, Principal at Sri Digambar Institute of Technology, Dausa, Rajasthan. I am taking the subject Engineering Mechanics, and this is my 12th lecture. This lecture is about friction, and this subject belongs to Civil and Mechanical Engineering in 3rd semester. What we learnt in the last lecture? In the last lecture, I introduced you with friction. It was said that if a body is kept on a surface and tried to move by an external force, there will be resistive passive force generated between the two mating surfaces. This resistive force is called force of friction and simply friction. I also taught you why it is called a necessary evil. Now, let us understand the mechanism of friction. As we know that no surface is perfectly smooth and that there are two types of irregularities, that is surface waviness and surface roughness. This when observed by microscope, there are a large number of hills and valleys which may not be detected by an ordinary watch or touch. When a block of one substance is placed over the level surface of the same of different material, a certain degree of interlocking of these minutely projected hills and valleys will take place. The hills of one surface will get interlocked into the valley of the other surface and vice versa. When one surface is tried to move over the another, first that interlocking of the hills and valleys is to be broken. This resistive force generated due to this interlocking of these surfaces, that is surface irregularities, is called the force of friction, or simply we call it friction. Now let us understand it again. This is the horizontal surface. This is the horizontal surface which is having some irregularities, hills and valleys, and a block of weighing W Newton is kept over it. This one. When we pull it with the force of P, there will be there is interlocking between these hills and valleys here. This interlocking has to be broken first. The force required to breaking this interlocking is the frictional force, which is acting towards the backside opposite to the applied force. This force of friction denoted by F, and if a normal reaction is acting like this upward, this is, you can see R, and sometimes it is denoted by Rn. N stands for normal. If coefficient of friction is mu, then the force of friction will be mu R. Now refer to the figure 2 here. This I told you in the earlier lecture also, this frictional force is passive in nature. This is passive. Passive means it will get activated only when external force is applied, and it will be in the same ratio. Then when we apply a force, as the force increases, same the same ratio, this frictional force is increasing. It is having just a 45-degree angle here. We go on increasing the force, the frictional force will increase, and a point at 1 will reach beyond which this interlocking will not be sufficient to hold the upper block over the inner surface, the lower surface, and there will be a bit of zigzag motion, and there will be a transition phase between 1 and 2. At 1, the force equivalent to 1 is called limiting friction. It is called limiting friction. This is called limiting friction. You will note that from point 2, as the force increases, the acceleration of the body block will increase, and there will be a condition reached when this frictional force will get somehow downward. Hence, at higher speed, the kinetic friction decreases a bit, which is here it is on a straight line, but it decreases a bit. So you can conclude that 1 to 2 is the range of static friction. This is the range of static friction. 2 to 3 is the range of dynamic friction. Dynamic friction. And this is the transition zone in which the friction changes from static to dynamic. Transition. Again, note it that this angle is always 45 degree. How you draw? Just you apply a force, the frictional force will get increased like this. Go on, it will cut line like this, and when we just connect these dots, a straight line will be generated, which will make an angle of 45 degree with the horizontal, as shown in this figure. Again, understand that the mechanism of this friction is that no surface is perfectly smooth. It has always have a waviness. Waviness means like this, longer. This is the waviness, and hills and valleys. This is the hills and valleys. So you can say it will be you can make the surface flat by reducing the waviness, but the microscopic hills and valleys remains irrespective of what you have, how you have finished it. Perfectly frictionless surface is very difficult to produce, but it can be produced by lapping, honing, super finishing methods. There are surface finishing methods which can generate a mirror surface, which is not the subject of our concern because it comes into the manufacturing sciences. The frictional force is generated due to the resistance offered by the interlocking of minutely projecting hills and valleys present on the two surfaces. You smooth the surface, lesser will be the force of friction, and vice versa. Means this force of friction is proportional to the surface finish. As the surface finish increases, frictional force will decrease. So you can say it is inversely proportional. Friction is subclassified as static friction and dynamic friction, as I have told you earlier, and we have shown in the last slide that this is force P applied, this is the frictional force F, this will be straight line, this angle is 45 degree. From here it is the maximum or limiting friction. limiting friction F, beyond which there will be a bit like this, and then this will be again a straight line like this. As the speed increases, the dynamic friction will reduce a bit. This zone is transition zone. This is the static friction, which is here, and this is the dynamic friction zone or kinetic friction zone. Further, dynamic friction is subdivided into sliding friction and rolling friction. Then when bearings are ball bearing or roller bearing, the friction generated within the roller and the bearing surface is called rolling friction. But when journal and bearings are mated together, the frictional force is called sliding friction. Now dry friction is another class of friction, and fluid friction. Again, friction can be dry friction or fluid friction. The fluid friction is further divided into greasy or non-viscous friction. Here, the frictional, the anti-friction coating is due to oiliness of the oil is smeared on the surface. But the fluid friction or viscous friction, there will be a layer of fluid between the journal and bearing. Means if this is a bearing surface, say if this is the bearing surface, there and this is a shaft or journal rotating, then there will be a wedge type of friction formation here, and there will be like this will be, if it is rotating like this, the frictional, the lubricating oil or grease will get into the air, and there will be a gap between the bearing, this is a bearing, and this is journal, Journal, that you will be reading in when we are doing machine design part 2. Here, there you will be studying this subject in detail. It is experimentally found that the magnitude of limiting friction bears a constant ratio to the normal reaction called coefficient of friction, denoted by nu. Since this is the ratio of two forces, that normal reaction is also a force and frictional force is a force, so it will be a unitless quantity. Laws of friction. Professor Coulomb, after extensive experiment, gave some laws of friction which can be grouped under the following heads. That is laws of static friction and laws of kinetic or dynamic friction. The laws of static friction. Following are the laws of static friction, that is, the force of friction always act in the direction opposite to that of which the body tends to move. If the force of friction would have been absent, the magnitude of force of friction is exactly equal to the force which tends to move the body. The magnitude of limiting friction bears a constant ratio to the normal reaction between the two surfaces, and mathematically it is given by mu is equal to F upon R, where mu is the coefficient of friction, F is the limiting friction, and R is the normal reaction. The force of friction is independent of area of contact between the two surfaces. The force of friction depends upon the roughness of the surface. Now, once I was reading a book of the CBSE 8th class science, in which they have shown very nicely the practically they tried to prove that it is independent on the area of the contact. How they did it? They shown that there is a block, this is hexagonal block like this, First they tried to pull it with this area like this area say A1, then they just uh, gave a 90-degree turn, and then all the three surfaces they tried to move it like this, and they proved that there is no change in force applied. Hence, when this surface, and this surface are different cross sectional area, then also there is no change in the force applied. Hence, it proves that the force of friction does not depend upon the contact area. Likewise, it can be proved many. Okay. The force of friction independent of area of contact between the two surfaces. The force of friction depends upon the roughness of the surface. Yes, it is clear. More microscopic roughness, more is the frictional force. Smoother the surface, lesser is the frictional force. Now, laws of kinetic friction or dynamic friction. Following the laws of kinetic friction or dynamic friction, the force of friction always acts in the direction opposite to that in which the body is moving. The magnitude of kinetic friction bears a constant ratio to the normal reaction between the two surfaces, but this ratio is slightly less than that in case of limiting friction. It is this much less. This, because this is the this much is less, that is this is kinetic or dynamic friction, this is the limiting friction. Now let us attempt one problem, simple problem, that is a body weighing 300 newtons is lying on a rough horizontal plane having a coefficient of friction 0.3. Find the magnitude of the force which can move the body while acting at an angle of 25 degree with the horizontal. In the last lecture also we analyzed this. That here it is the case of coplanar concurrent force system. There are two forces, that is four forces, that is applied force. This is one force is this, then weight, then the normal reaction, and then the frictional force this. Here, just look into it. It is a point of concurrency is this. This is the coplanar concurrent force system. So the body is at the limiting condition, body is in static equilibrium, acted upon by a force system having force P at an angle of theta is equal to 25 degree, then normal reaction acting upward, weight is acting downward, and the force of friction is acting towards left. Now just the conditions of static equilibrium are summation f x is equal to 0 and summation f y equal to 0. If this is the x and y, this is x, this is y, then resolve the forces horizontally and vertically, horizontally and vertically. First resolve the force P into horizontal vertical component, that is P cos theta means P cos 25 is the horizontal component, P sin theta is, that is P sin 45 is the vertical component. Then resolving forces horizontally, F equal to P cos theta equal to P cos 25 or P into 0.9063. Now resolving the forces vertically are equal to W minus P sin theta, that is 300 minus P sin 25. 300 minus P 0.9063 4226. We know that the force of friction F is equal to 0.9063 P, that is equal to this when resolving, as found out in here. Then just put it, 0.906 equal mu r equal to 0.3 into 300 minus 0.4226 P, which gives you P equal to 87.1 Newton. This is the normal calculation you can make, no need to worry about this. I think you are capable of making these simple calculations. Thanks for watching this video. This was about this lecture. If you find it positive, then comment. If you want some improvement, then also at Dr. P.S. Kaushik @gmail.com. Thanks for watching.